how does the human brain survive a 16-hour continuous chemical attack every single day? It begins with a slow, violent standoff as toxic waste products deliver repeated warnings to your neural pathways over a span of several hours. The final escalation comes when these contaminants reach a critical mass, threatening to instantly disable your cognitive engines and trigger an internal collapse. But how is your body capable of launching a massive counteroffensive in mere seconds once you fall asleep? The secret lies in a hidden hydraulic network that only activates in the shadows. An advanced biological filtration system backed by a nearly endless supply of cerebrospinal fluid. Watch how it operates. The system mechanically flushes the neural pathways and immediately ejects the spent biological casings. This brings us to the ultimate question. How do biological forces physically seize and clear a colossal blockade of toxic proteins? Your brain sends in a specialized cleanup crew. They flood the system, systematically securing and clearing the neural decks. It is Tuesday, April 21, 2026, and your mind is about to witness a massive escalation. A direct internal confrontation between the forces of health and the clandestine network of the Shadow Fleet, toxic amyloid beta proteins. The tip of the spear for this operation is the Glymphatic System, a heavily armed biological defense mechanism. It is backed by an elite team of astrocytes and specialized water channels known as aquaporin 4. Their target? The microscopic cargo of biological waste that has been hauling roughly 16 hours of cognitive debris. This behemoth of a threat is making its way directly toward your long-term memory centers. So, how do they actually disable the buildup? The interception takes place in the deep, international waters of your subconscious, triggered by a broader biological blockade on neural ports. The waste is steaming ahead, but the brain does not open fire immediately. Instead, your central nervous system executes a highly calculated strategy, an escalation of warnings. But how is a biological system capable of executing such a high-stakes cleaning operation without damaging the delicate hardware of your consciousness? The secret lies in a sophisticated architectural shift that occurs the moment you enter deep sleep. Think of your brain not as a static organ, but as a high-performance machine that physically reconfigures its internal components to facilitate a massive tactical flush. To understand how this works, we have to look at the primary weapon system of the brain's cleaning crew, the astrocytes. These star-shaped glial cells are the logistical backbone of your neural defense perimeter. In a military sense, they act as the gun shield and the ammunition handling system all in one. For decades, scientists believed the brain's cells were packed together so tightly that there was no room for a large-scale drainage system. But they were looking at the brain while it was awake, effectively looking at a shipyard during peak operating hours. When the lights go out and the midnight shift begins, the astrocytes execute a maneuver that seems almost impossible. They physically shrink. Through a process of controlled dehydration, these cells contract by as much as 60% of their original volume. This isn't just a minor adjustment. It is a total tactical reconfiguration. Imagine a massive crowded container ship, where every container suddenly shrinks to half its size. This massive reduction in cell volume creates a vast network of open channels known as the interstitial space. It's as if a dense urban labyrinth suddenly cleared its streets, allowing for the deployment of heavy machinery. This brings us to the core of the hydraulic system, the aquaporin 4 water channels. Positioned at the end feet of the astrocytes, these are the high-precision valves of the brain. They are the biological equivalent of the Mark 45's automated ammunition shuttle. These channels are specifically designed to allow the rapid pressurized flow of cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF, directly into the brain tissue. This isn't a passive soak, it is a forced high-volume surge. The system mechanically loads the CSF into the neural gaps and immediately begins the scouring process. Why does this only happen at night? Because the energy requirements for this hydraulic pump are massive. During the day, your brain's power grid is fully committed to cognition, movement, and survival. It simply doesn't have the spare voltage to run the pumps. It is only during the silence of deep sleep that the brain can divert its full energy reserves to the glymphatic system. Let's take a closer look at the physics of this flow. As the heart beats, it creates a rhythmic pressure gradient that acts as the primary engine for the fluid. This is the autoloader of the mind. With every pulse, CSF is driven through the aquaporin channels and into the brain's interior at a brisk, calculated pace. The fluid doesn't just drift. It circulates through the folds of the cortex like a high-pressure jet stream in the Gulf of Oman. We are talking about a total turnover of the brain's fluid environment several times a night. This continuous cycle ensures that every cubic millimeter of neural tissue is subjected to a thorough tactical rinse. The precision of this system is staggering. It targets the microscopic gaps between neurons with the same surgical accuracy a naval gun uses to hit a moving engine room from 14 miles away. Without this nightly reconfiguration, without the 60% shrinkage and the activation of the aquaporin valves, the toxic byproducts of your daily thoughts would simply sit and fester, slowly corroding the very circuits that make you who you are. This is the first layer of your digital and biological defense. It is a seamlessly integrated system that spits out gallons of filtered fluid every hour, expelling spent biological casings through the side of the blood-brain barrier. But what happens when the waste isn't just loose debris? What if you're dealing with a stubborn, entrenched enemy that refuses to leave the engine room? This brings us to the actual combat phase of the Midnight Raid. So, who is the target of this high-stakes Midnight Raid? Identified by biological intelligence as part of the Shadow Fleet of the Mind, these are the amyloid beta 42 proteins. In the world of neurobiology, these are the rusting, clandestine tankers used to transport illicit biological cargo that bypasses your brain's natural sanctions. These oligomers are the non-compliant vessels attempting to run the blockade line of your health. The interception takes place in the strategic straits of the hippocampus, roughly 340 microns from the nearest vital synapse. It is triggered by a broader neurological blockade, your body's demand for rest. The toxic cargo is steaming ahead at a brisk pace, approaching the northern regions of the prefrontal cortex. The USS Cerebrum moves in to intercept. But your brain does not open fire immediately. Instead, it executes a highly calculated escalation of warnings. Neural cluster delta, vacate your interstitial space. Vacate your interstitial space. We are prepared to subject you to disabling flush. For hours of sleep deprivation, your internal forces issue repeated warnings. Your brain feels the pressure, the fog, the heavy eyelids, the slowing reaction times. These are the direct orders for the waste to cut its engines and prepare for disposal. But the protein clusters ignore every single directive, stubbornly holding their course toward neurological decay. When the vessel of toxicity continually refuses to comply, your system escalates to precise disabling force. Your biology hails the target with a chillingly specific final warning. Protein cluster, vacate the engine room. We are about to subject you to disabling flush, a chemical horn blasts. Then the heart, the primary engine of this fleet, aims its hydraulic pressure and fires. At least 3 massive surges of cerebrospinal fluid slam directly into the amyloid engine room. The first surge, then the second and a third round. These tactical strikes blow a hole in the molecular machinery space, instantly killing the buildup's propulsion. This surgical precision stops the massive accumulation dead in its tracks, all while keeping the main neural hole intact to prevent permanent damage. With the colossal protein tanker disabled and adrift in the fluid, it is time for the elite boarding teams to move in. The meningeal lymphatic vessels take over. They deploy molecular transporters that act like the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, successfully boarding the non-compliant clusters. They sweep the cortex, secure the vessel, and take full official custody of the cargo, the crew of toxins, and the dangerous debris. This is the actual microscopy footage of your brain seizing those massive protein ships, launched from the deeper layers of the brain using molecular motors. These elite teams execute a precision tactical drop. The lead transporters hold a tight hover over the shipping containers of waste as biological enzymes fast rope into the shadows. Meanwhile, a second surge circles high above, providing armed overwatch to protect the team as they secure the vessel. But what makes this glymphatic strike so effective? This sophisticated system can be compartmentalized into 4 distinct phases of combat. Starting at the base is the automated ammunition shuttle, the arterial pulse. Just above it, we encounter the automated handling system, the aquaporin channels. But what if you're dealing with a military-grade buildup over 50 microns wide, while hidden just beneath the folds of the cortex are these vertical launchers? This unit measures approximately 25 feet in relative biological scale. Placing it in front of a person provides a tangible sense of its size. Now, let's delve into how this hot launch system operates through super simple animations. The cell door opens for the disposal enzymes. As the enzyme ignites, the exhaust gases of broken proteins are directed upwards through a designated vent. This design enables the cleanup to launch independently, free from any toxic gases. That was the first layer of defense. The second layer involves a close-in weapon system such as the microglial phalanx. At the top is the search radar, the chemical sensors. Just below it is the tracking and gun-laying software, the neural signaling. And further below is the Gatling gun of enzymes that spits out 4,500 reactions per minute. All these reactions are fed from an endless drum of ATP, Let's take a closer look at how this works. When the microglial phalanx is activated, the chemical sensors acquire an inbound toxic threat at a distance of 10 microns. The software confirms the threat. The fire control radar then locks onto a target at 5 microns. Approximately 2 microns away, the enzymes open fire. It continues firing until a hard kill is achieved, expelling tons of endless debris, destroying any toxins, waste, or dead cells that come near the synapse. If that doesn't work against smaller, more evasive targets, then another system comes into play, the CRAM of the brain. The CRAM integrates the radar and electro-optical systems of the sensors. But this bad boy alone packs an 11-cell launcher that can be reloaded, creating an autonomous system that can engage threats without relying on external information. Within the CRAM is the rolling airframe missile of the immune system. This small, lightweight infrared homing missile is specifically designed for engaging subsonic toxins such as the fragments re-engineered by disease, which maneuver in close proximity to the neurons to evade detection. The defense system activates in such scenarios, destroying anything within a 6-micron radius with a 90% hit accuracy. But how will the brain actually capture or block a foreign flagged neurotoxin? And how will it enforce a blockade when a geopolitical chess game between health and decay suddenly escalates into a kinetic military operation? In this scenario, your body will enforce a strict blockade on illicit proteins. This is waste that lifestyle factors will have explicitly placed under their protection. This operation will serve as the climax of a week-long standoff rooted in the aggressive new blockade of sleep deprivation. The target will be some rusting, 10-day-old accumulation identified by biological intelligence as part of the Shadow Fleet. An intercept will occur near the Strait of Memory. When the buildup refuses to stop, shuts off its chemical transponder, flees into the open Pacific of the frontal lobe, your brain will dispatch its forces, sparking a grueling pursuit. This surgical precision is the only thing standing between a clear mind and a total maritime collapse of the neural ports. Without it, the blockade line is breached, and the internal fire of neurodegeneration begins to spread. If the proceeding method proves ineffective against these small targets, then the entire fleet of your consciousness is at risk. The survival of the brain depends on this nightly raid being executed perfectly every single time. What does this mean for the long-term theater of operations? The war against Alzheimer's and neurodegeneration will not be won with a miracle pill or a sudden medical breakthrough. It is won through the grueling nightly deployment of the Glymphatic Patrol. This is a game of endurance. Think of your deep sleep as the ultimate military-grade digital defense system. Just like a robust VPN scans and detects threats to shield your devices from tracking by bots or third parties, your brain uses these slow-wave cycles as its frontline defense. It identifies the shadow fleet of toxic proteins and alerts your internal cleanup crews to thousands of dangerous molecular messages before they can breach your memory servers. As the first light of morning breaks, the mission reaches its climax. The blockade has been successfully enforced. The illicit cargo of amyloid beta has been neutralized, seized, and expelled from the sector. In this scenario, the sunrise is more than just a new day. It is the sight of the flag being raised over a secured and cleared vessel. It is the ultimate victory of biological order over the encroaching chaos of decay. When you wake up with a clear mind and a sharp focus, you are experiencing the aftermath of a successful midnight raid. Your neural engines are back online, your decks are secured, and your cognitive ports are open for business. But remember, this elite task force cannot launch without your explicit green light. Every hour you spend awake past your limit is an hour you are effectively cutting off communications and leaving your defense systems unarmed. You are leaving your most vital data exposed to a silent set threat lurking in the shadows. To protect your biological legacy, you must authorize this tactical drop. Secure the bridge, cut the engines, go to sleep. Because the only way to win this chess game is to let the professionals take over while the world goes dark. We make original videos from scratch, animated by the complexity of human life. Sleep tight. The patrol is on duty.